There are several problems that the youth of Zambia are facing. Paramount among them is disease, that includes HIV/AIDS. We have anger. We also have the issue of unemployment and generally lack of skills, which in a nutshell is lack of youth empowerment.
Youth resource centers are creating opportunities for young people in Lusaka in terms of giving them skills like computer lessons and mechanics and other skills that we offer them. They give them at least a hope for employment, and they can create their own employment for themselves.
My name is Chester Mwemba. I'm a student at Chawama Youth Project, and I'm 25 years old. Being here has really helped me a lot because my life was a little bit down, so I had to decide what to do. So I thought I had this passion of automotive mechanics, so I thought like I should come here and learn something.
L-I-K-N-E-double-L-O, the only true soldier coming from the ghetto.
My name's Alisto Kwabe. I live in Chawama, Lusaka, Zambia. I'm 22 years old and I'm a student at Chawama Training Skills, doing music as well as production in music. Most of the problems I had was how to handle a computer. That was one of the problems. The other one was how to make music using a computer as well, and how to come up with good music that makes sense and can empower my fellow youths.
For us, it was really important to identify partners who are working with young people in regard of giving them a good education as well as preparing them for the world of work afterwards. And this is what Kalingalinga as well as the Chawama Youth Project is doing. And therefore we opted to work with them and help them with ICT to improve their products and services so that they really can prepare the young people for the future in front of them.
Kalingalinga Youth Resource Center is one of the centers which is under the Ministry of Youth and Sport, designed at first to do with youth and employment. We have put up programs which are there to tackle the real unemployment and create jobs for these young people.
My full name is Mumba Prince. I'm the accounts clerk here at Kalingalinga Youth Resource Center. I studied ICT here at Kalingalinga Youth Resource Center for 6 months. I never had much information concerning the use of computers. That is why I thought of becoming computer literate, and I thought of coming to Kalingalinga.
We've seen a lot of change, a lot of young people that were on the streets, a lot of young people that had literally lost hope are now engaged in some economic activity, in a way contributing to the development of their own communities and in a little way, economic development of the country.
Well, with behavior-based interview questions, what employers are doing is they're looking at past behavior to get a predictor of future behavior. Let's say they ask, can you give me an example of a time where you took initiative to solve a problem? They want to hear a story about where you took initiative. And you need to organize that using the STAR technique, where you can talk about situation, task, action, and result. What I see a lot of students tend to do is they'll tell us a great story and forget the results. That's like watching a great movie and not seeing the ending of it.
Well, the STAR technique helps organize their thoughts. Behavioral interviewing is telling a story. You're telling us a story, you're setting up the situation so we understand exactly what you're doing. You know, you set the frame, you set the picture for us in our minds. The task is, you know, what was the problem, what was the issue, set that piece up. And I want to know what you did, not my manager did this or we did this. I want to hear a lot of what did you specifically do? And the results, how did it end? It's like telling a joke and not giving the punchline if you don't add the results in there.
When they get those behavioral questions, take it back to a specific example, explain what they did, set it up, give the details, and include a lot of names, dates, times, numbers, and places. The more details you can give, it really helps the employer understand the depth and breadth of what you accomplished. Oftentimes if a student is giving examples that say, we did this and we did that when they're talking about a committee, I will stop them and say, that's great that your committee did that, but what specifically did you do? And what I find oftentimes that they didn't do anything.
You really want to kind of go through your resume, go through even go through the last couple of months of emails that you've had from student organizations, from your work, from different classes, and really get into the detailed, 1 or 2 or 3 detailed stories that you can tell, that you can actually know exactly what happened, exactly what the concept was, who was in the meeting, what the real problems were, what the detailed actions were, and not only what you did, but some of the options that you considered or the group considered before making the final decision, and then details in terms of what the result was.
Well, David, can you tell me about a time where you set a goal and you thought you did everything possible to achieve that goal but still fell short?
Sure. Actually, I had a similar experience to that during my internship during the summer of 2010 with UBS Investment Bank. I was working in their global healthcare group, and really one of the first type of tasks that we had was working with one of our major clients on a merger model. So we were doing a pitch for them and coming up with a hypothetical merger situation. And my task was to create the merger model and come up with the analysis so that we could show them our numbers so that it made sense. So one of my senior associates came to me and said, David, you know, this is your task. Go ahead with it. We're not going to help you out. Do your very best, and we'll come to you at the end of the day. So I literally spent the next, I would say, 12 hours of that day working at a computer on my merger model, which I thought, man, you know, I've spent 12 hours. This is going to be perfect. There's nothing wrong with this. And when I finally presented my model saying, you know, we've got accretion here, we're going to make money off of this deal, the client's going to love it, the very first thing they did once I printed it out was take a red pen and cross an X all the way through it. And they said, you did absolutely everything wrong that we were looking for. And although you spent 12 hours, we're now going to have to go and redo this. So me, you know, this is my first week as an intern, sitting there thinking, wow, I spent way more time than any full-time person would actually spend on this. And I did it all wrong. How is this possible? I'm not going to get a job at all. And now all my dreams of doing investment banking are ruined from this one engagement. And what I later realized was the fact that, you know, when you come in, and this is what they told me at the end of the summer once I finally received a full-time offer, when you come in, they understand you don't know everything. You know, you're not supposed to know every single thing about investment banking or your internship in general. When you come in, they want to see that you are putting forth the full effort, you're going above and beyond, and really trying to do your best in terms of what they show you and what they want you to do. So at the end, that same senior analyst who crossed an X directly through, which, you know, I will admit it was incorrect, my work, he later said, you know, David spent half of a day on this model. He didn't give up. He was determined. He was confident in his work and what he thought was right. Even though it ended up being wrong, that same determination was what helped him to really be a perfect candidate for what we're looking for as a full-time analyst. So although I failed, and I definitely did fail, I did my best and I learned from that experience and ultimately got a return offer from UBS.
First, the candidate provides information about his project for UBS and the amount of time and work he put into the project, which helps the interviewer gain a real understanding of his efforts and the value of the task. Next, the candidate structured his example using the STAR technique: situation, task, action, results. Situation, explaining his UBS summer internship with the Global Healthcare Group. Task, explaining the merger model he was developing for a client to share UBS's financial expectations for the merger. Action, the amount of time and effort he put into the project. Results, the lessons learned from his mistakes and how he overcame these failures to receive an offer for full-time employment. Third, the interview candidate's story was focused on a specific project and experience rather than a story about how he generally overcomes failure. Finally, the candidate's story was specifically about his experience and not a shared story about a team's accomplishments.
If Africa's doing so well, why do we have so many people still being left out of the system?
70% of Africa's population is under 35. Where are the jobs going to come from?
The challenges to growth are infrastructure, agriculture, and the education and skilling of our people.
Il y a un problème de répartition des revenus. Il y a un problème de démocratie encore, mais l'Afrique est sur la bonne voie.
L'Afrique a été présentée comme un continent du désespoir. Quand l'Afrique s'éveillera, je crois qu'elle va étonner le monde.
I think innovation is going to be a very important part of the Africa growth model.
It is time for us to focus on entrepreneurship, to really propel a large number of Africans towards prosperity.
What we need to focus ourselves on is the growth that we have being inclusive, how we distribute it.
How are we going to build sustainable growth? How are we going to make this growth inclusive? And how are we going to engage and integrate the huge youth population that we have in Africa?
There's 10 million young Africans entering the job market every year, and we see agriculture as the single greatest potential to create employment on the African continent.
The largest shareholder, the largest private sector we have are actually farmers. Can you share with us your business models and how is that changing the face of the rural economies?
Le forum nous donne l'occasion de bénéficier d'expériences d'autres pays.
To be able to exchange ideas, to be able to share best practice, to be able to formulate new policies together with these great minds really means that we are owning the future and we're taking it into our hands.
This is a big action-oriented brainstorm. We want to deliver results.
We have been able to share what Togo is doing to improve the economic and political leadership of women. If we manage to get a way to mobilize them, we can really yield some good dividends for our economy.
We are planting and feeding the nation. We thank God that this year our voice is being heard on a platform.
So I see many things happening in Ethiopia, happening in Kenya, it happening in Zambia. Good practical solution.
The best thing that business can do is to invest for the long term.
The opportunities are there to give us the enabling environment.
Global businessmen, African businessmen and women have already made commitments to invest.
If we want to be relevant long term in the world, we have to be playing a role in Africa.
我们和非洲国家共命运，发展潜力巨大。
I've seen the political will, I've seen the total commitment of African leaders. I believe we'll take the right steps to get Africa out of our current position today.
With our numbers, with our resolve, with our opportunities, Africa will rise.